On the 15th of September, 1657, the diarist John Evelyn had a conversation with an intelligent, cultured German woman, dressed in the height of fashion, who played beautifully to him on the harpsichord. She also had a most prolix beard, and mustachios, with long locks of hair growing on the very middle of her nose, exactly like an island dog. The Wellcome Collection in London has acquired a remarkable portrait painted a few years before their meeting, which shows Barbara Van Beck exactly as Evelyn described her, composed, dignified, wearing a beautiful and expensive low-cut grey silk dress, with a lace collar tied with a scarlet bow, and more ribbons in her hair, which was, Evelyn wrote, neatly dressed of a bright brown and fine as well-dressed flax. We don't know who painted the portrait, or where, when or for whom, but the point of it is Barbara's dignity. Angela McShane, Wellcome's Research Development Manager, said, "This is a beautifully executed high-status painting. She is not portrayed as a freak as the Victorians would have described her. As I often say when lecturing, you can blame the Victorians for most things, but as a woman with great self-possession and presence, painted at a time when she would have been viewed, as Evelyn saw her, as wonderful, a natural wonder. There is nothing titillating about her low-cut dress either, though we might now see it that way. She is dressed as in the highest fashion of the day, and contemporary viewers would have recognized that." Samuel Pepys, Evelyn's contemporary and friend, also met a bearded woman in London in 1668. Some historians believe it was the same person, but McShane thinks this was another woman with a different condition. The diarist described her as a little plain woman, a Dane, her name Ursula Geo, about 40 years old, her voice like a little girl's, with a beard as much as any man I ever saw, as black almost and grisly. Evelyn had been dragged in by friends to see a Turkish tightrope walker, and was surprised to meet Barbara, whom he described as the hairy maid, or woman. He had met her 20 years earlier when she was only 8, but already being exhibited by her parents. She was born Barbara Ursula in 1629 near Augsburg in Bavaria, one of several children but the only one with the condition, unlike the famous Gonzales family a generation earlier who were all famously hairy, and spent periods living at the French and several Italian courts. Her parents exhibited her in traveling shows, but she clearly also acquired an education. By the time Evelyn met her, she was in London for at least the second time, and had traveled widely across Europe. She spoke several languages, and as she told Evelyn, had married a Dutchman called Michael von Beck. She told him she had one child that was not hairy, nor were any of her parents or relations. Evelyn compared her appearance to that of an Iceland dog, a fashionable shaggy lapdog of the day. Her very eyebrows were combed upward, and all her forehead as thick and even as gross on any woman's head, neatly dressed. There come also 2 locks very long out of each ear, the rest of her body not so hairy yet exceedingly long in comparison, arms, neck, breast and back, and for the rest very well shaped, played well on the harpsichord.